rolling right along. 11:01 my time. What time is it where you are? Let's bring on Alexander Strobl. Holds a degree in business information technology, and he's worked as an IT consultant at Accenture and Double Slash. He is now in a role as a consultant in his role as a consultant project manager, he acted as a link between business and IT. That's a link we all got to make sure is very strong. That cannot be your weakest link. He's now been responsible for the digital transformation of Wagner IT. There, he supports the process and product digitization and promotes global collaboration within Wagner and beyond. We want to thank the folks at Viamedici for bringing him here to share his journey. And now listen to Alex's journey from PIM to MDM, the evolution of a global product data strategy at Wagner. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Al Bissmeyer, and I'm the Vice President of Viamedici for the Americas. And I'd like to share just a quick little thumbnail of Viamedici before I hand it over to our guest speaker, which is the important part of this presentation. So Viamedici, we provide multi-domain master data management, PIM, digital asset management, and product configuration as part of our solution set. We started out in Germany and Europe, and we have over 300 customers who are very happy and satisfied. We have over 99.3% customer retention rate, so very happy customer base. We've been expanding. We actually have operations in Asia Pac and the Americas, and a number of our customers have rolled out our solution into North America, and now we're expanding our footprint in North America with new customers. So that's a quick thumbnail on Viamedici from an overview perspective. We have roughly 20% growth. We've been growing year over year, and our cloud business has really been exploding. It's much faster growth in the cloud arena. Next slide, please. If you look at our customer base, we have a number of global customers. They are multinational, and our typical customers are managing roughly 30 to 40 languages in terms of the languages that they support, and thousands of marketplaces. So they have marketplaces throughout Europe and throughout Asia, and obviously in the Americas with multiple channels. Roughly 75% of our customers are SAP based. They deal with product complexity, a lot of different products that they're working with. And they want to have the information available in real time. So there's no latency to have product consistency across their organizations as well as their supply chains into their customers. As I mentioned before, we have very happy customers, and I'm pleased to have Alexander Strobl, one of our great customers with Wagner, to speak today about how they're utilizing and have progressed from PIM to MDM. So Alexander, would you like to take it away?
Thank you, Al. I will. And here is Wagner, one of these German customers with complex products and a global user base with a strong SAP background. So I would like to take you on a journey from the PIM, I would say, to master data management, because it's an evolution. It has been an evolution within Wagner. I have learned a lot the last few years, and I would like to share these lessons learned and provide you a few tips and tricks. So before we start, who am I? I'm Director of Digital Transformation in IT. I started my career with Accenture, jumped over to a smaller player here in Germany, and then switched into the industry with Wagner at the beginning of 2017. And this is also where my PIM journey started. It was one of my first project at Wagner, and still one of the biggest I'm responsible for. So who is Wagner? As I know, there are many listeners from North America here. I'm pretty sure you heard about Wagner. If not, Wagner is around you. We are on the wall, in or on your smartphone, on your furniture, and also on your aluminum rims. Wagner is not doing the paint or the material. We are manufacturer and producer of toolings for coatings. That's where we specialized. Even 2/3 of all aluminum rims are coated with Wagner technology. That said, we are around you, and we have, of course, a global brand set up within the Wagner Group. So maybe you've also heard about Titan, that's our North America brand, or HomeRide, that's the DIYer we have just bought 2 years ago. That said, this is where the PIM part begins, as we have products starting for just a few bucks, where what you can buy at Lowe's or Walmart. We are in the consumer space, very cheap, very easy to use. If we jump over in the middle, we're somewhere in the thousands for contractors, for professionals, which goes up to in the spectrum of millions when we have industrial setups. And if you think of that in a product management perspective, that's tricky. So you have different attributes, but at the end, you want to have all these products with all their attributes in one PIM system, and not in 3 or even more, just because there are more brands and more attributes. So I will take you on a look back on 2017 when we have started that journey. So there was SAP, and SAP is very strong within Wagner. So they also told me there is nothing in PIM if it's not in the master data of SAP before. So you're just a small kid with your PIM. There was an old PIM already feeding an old web shop and also producing a printed catalog. There was a media asset management system, but it was more used like a file server, and also the website was maintained manually from a product perspective. So this is where we start with Viamedici. We looked what is already there. We compared web with shop, shop with print, and also web with print. And guess what? It was a disaster. Different units, different attributes at all, even different values maintained. So this is where you realize, oops, I might have a real issue with my data quality. So now, again, fast forward into where we are now. We haven't reached that 100%, but we are working on that. We call it Wagner 365. It's our platform. It's a super touch point. It feeds our web shop, our configurator, third-party web shops, of course, printed catalogs, and many other systems. So this is where we are now, and the question is how we achieved that goal. And if I look back from now back to 2017, I see 3 phases, and this is where I want to onboard you right now. So when we started with the first phase, it was about migrating the old product data into the new system. And that isn't obviously not a surprise for you. Excel is your friend here. It is a pain but you want to do the quality assurance on your product data. Otherwise, it's garbage in, garbage out, and it will hunt you down later on. We also realized we have a real issue within our master data in SAP. So we staffed a team there working on that corner. And we also spend a lot of time on workshops together with Viamedici to understand the existing product and marketing processes, because you want to fit your PIM in there somehow. And based on that, we have built a product tree, which is a global tree and a normalized tree. What do I mean with that? When we started with the PIM migration, we looked up the data in the old PIM, and there have been products sitting on the 3rd level of a tree and also on the 10th level of a tree. So it's a disaster if you want to use that data later on for a catalog production. So what we have done, we have brought it down into a 7-level dev tree, which goes for all our products. Doesn't matter if it's just a few bucks for DIY or it's an industrial coating box for a few 100,000 euros. Everything goes on the same structure. Everything sits on the same product attribute cloud and cluster. So when we started with the old PIM, we had over 1,000 attributes because there have been so many duplicates, even on easy attributes like dimension. And now we have structured it and built a family of attributes and built that tree. So that was the first phase. That was a real pain. It took longer than we expected, but I'm super proud we are through that. And this is where the next phase comes in. So you need that success story. You need it hard, and I hunted it down hard because we wanted, and what was my personal milestone, we want to have at least 2 consuming systems integrated with PIM. And that was obviously, again, our catalog and our new web shop, which was very important for the overall success, because if you don't have a consumer, nobody likes PIM at all. And this is also where the master data management mindset really kicks in, because that is the point in time where we realize, okay, I have still some blind spot on my data quality here and there, even if I thought I have done my homework before. Because if there are blind spots in the catalog or in the web shop, you will see that. And you also start building automated data flows, so things go smooth. You can run easy updates and whatnot. And as you have these consumers, you need to spread the word to really get the PIM mindset, the master data management mindset, in the heads of your management, of your colleagues. So you have to do maybe another round of trainings for knowledge transfer. That is the phase where you really ramp up, because now comes the 3rd phase, which is, I have seen it after we have done the 3rd PIM integration, we have reached some kind of tipping point. So before, it was us as IT pushing the PIM into the organization, and now the business is coming to us because they have heard about PIM, they heard about the web shop, and they want to be part of it, which is great. And also, you have guessed it, you need to tackle some technical debt in that 3rd phase, because maybe you have been in a rush during the 1st and 2nd phase, so now it's the time to clean things up. You want to onboard more brands, widen your product portfolio, onboard more user. So that's obviously what we did. We are hosting our system on Azure, so it's super fast from wherever you use it. Is it in our IT headquarters in south of Germany, if it's in Switzerland, or if it's the colleagues from North America? It's a global system, and it's used like that with all the translation, etc. And also you want to include more data flows into your MDM setup. So what do I mean with more data flows? I brought an example for you. We have these operation manuals, which are PDFs. They're done from technical experts in R&D. And what they usually did, they uploaded it into our SAP system. And it's sitting there, it's getting manually transferred somewhere. And that's where we have brought in a custom middleware, which behaves like a content server, but actually is our media asset management together with PIM, where the files are getting transferred. And boom, they're, of course, in the web shop instantly. So that is great because you don't have to manually maintain these files anymore. You can stick to your well-known processes, and you have a real hockey stick in exception. That said, for me, it was even a surprise. I told you SAP is a very strong player within the company. The business have talked to the SAP guys and asked them, hey, we have such a great structure of product hierarchy in our PIM system. Can we take that over into SAP? So that was another huge milestone for me. So these three phases summed up with starting data migration, ramping up the first system, and then working on synergies and optimization. That's how I would structure that whole journey. And the question, of course, is now, what is next? There is always a next. So we are spending high efforts on IoT solution. Is it on our industry product portfolio, but also in the professional section where we now bring connected products into the market, or we have remote service where the customer sees what we see and the other way around, and also products where we support the customer to set up the pump. Is it a paint sprayer, for example, with the perfect settings? So what we found out, what I have found out, is that there is a need for third-party product data. So it's not just about your own products. So at some point of time, you realize, oops, now I also need product data from my partners. And surprisingly, they're not there because they haven't the PIM. They cannot give you that data in a structured way. And we need that data to check compatibility for our products against the third-party products in larger systems, or if we have a configuration situation on customer side, that would be the paint sprayer used with a paint from a paint manufacturer. So you have to do the right settings on our tooling, and therefore you need that data. So that's the part I'm currently working on. If you are in a similar situation where you realize, I'm already there, I need third-party product data, and it's pretty difficult to obtain or crawl it, give a shout out, and we can have an offline session. I would like to talk about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
That was great. Where are we? Here we are. Nice to see everybody. Whoops. Let me zoom myself in here. Thank you, Alex. He's coming back in here. We know Wagner is everywhere. Check it out. I went out. I listened to his session. I got me a Wagner heat gun, baby. Check it out, Alex. I'm your newest customer. See. How you like that, huh?
Great.
Sweet. I'm excited about it. It says it has 101 uses.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm assuming one of them is to heat stuff up. So now I'm looking for the other 100. Al, how are you, man?
Good. How are you doing?
So
coming.
Scott, the question is, do you need IoT in a heat gun? If yes, for what? Is there a use case? Yeah. Do you need a connected heat gun? I don't know yet, but
No, I don't. I'm all right. It's not plugged in, which is the safest way I could do that. So, talk about the IoT. There's all this talk about identification in the IoT, but if you spell that out, it's IDIoT, which is idiot. So I think there's a warning in there somewhere for us data people. Anyway, seriously, Alex, awesome stuff. I love when you said, okay, the SAP people said, can we have your hierarchy? I mean, it's like game freaking over after that, right? You're in charge. Nice. So we do have some questions. So you mentioned collecting competitive product data. Is that something that you store in MDM, or is that something just the kind of the go-to-market team does?
No, it's not. So we are collecting the data. So as you might guess, that information is somehow semi-structured if you crawl it from the web. So you need to clean it and store it in a way that you can really work with it in your services. In our case, it's IoT services. And the question is, there are separate databases for sure right now, but I think of how we can merge that into our existing MDM strategy, because that's the future. If you think of new services where it's not just your product, we're talking about ecosystem. An ecosystem is the widen your horizon on MDM, and that's why we really need to get that step. And the example I brought in my presentation was about 50 paint manufacturers. So you don't want to call 50 of them. So we tried that. We send out emails and with the Excel template. It was a disaster. Okay. So there is no export button in their systems. So we just realized we need to crawl that.
Yeah. Do you integrate that with syndicated data? I mean, I'm assuming you have sort of product movement data from retailers or distributors, or do you start to integrate that?
I thought there might be some data out in the web structure already. There was also a comment about GS1, but there are many consumer and also you've shown the Unilever brands. So these products are usually somewhere out there, but it's not the case with paints. You don't have UPC codes, and also a paint which is the same name on the same brand in Germany and in US could have different parts in it. So they like Coca-Cola, it's mixed in a different way.
Good point about Coca-Cola. A lot of people don't realize Coca-Cola is not Coca-Cola. It doesn't taste the same everywhere, nor is it even called the same anywhere, right? Coke Light, Diet Coke, but the same, probably even more complicated with your world too.
Great.
Yeah. When you what else did I love? Your 7-level, that 7-level tree. So any horror stories, on how you just got how'd you get the organization to just finally
it took us weeks, really. It's just that level thing, because you have hold it in your hands. Think about it. What might be attributes of a simple product like a heat gun compared to a room filling powder system for hundreds of thousands of euros with hundreds of sensors and actors. So that's a totally different story. But Viamedici forced us. We want to have that single source of truth on a single hierarchy, and it was a pain, but it paid out at the end. I'm thankful for that.
I think pretty much this group is in agreement. We and probably a little bit envious in terms of the structure and consistency you've been able to bring to a global organization that's very complicated, right? Complicated go-to-market, retailers, distributors, all kinds of intermediaries, different brand names or configurations in different countries. It can get very complicated very quickly. Wonderful. Al, anything you want to join in and add there? Let me take a look at some other questions I know we had. When considering a global product management solution that can grow from PIM to MDM, what are some of the key things you look for? What should it be able to do?
I think the focus here should lie on the MD in the MDM. You need that. You really.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but
It does, but people
you
forget it. Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
You have to come up with a rule which says, okay, we have a leading system, and if it's SAP, it's okay. We are just taking the material master ID and the short name, and that's it. Everything else is rubbish. So, and then we put things on top on PIM. And we said we need to do that to move forward with the PIM. But again, we also worked on master data management on SAP in parallel. And now we're in a situation we can think of a bidirectional data exchange. But again, you need a starting point and a single source of truth, as you don't want to have 15 different, I don't know how many SAPs are in Unilever. I get at least 10, I would guess.
They got
you
their
don't want
share,
to have
that's
10
for sure.
SAPs in a company or ERPs in general. You don't want to have 5 or 15 PIM systems. You want to have that global thing, and then it's MDM.
Yeah. It's and you're mentioning, throughout this interoperability, driving
Right.
integration, common language,
Translation, management, and whatnot. Yeah, right.
Alan, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this too. How do you sell this into the business side, like senior level? I got to imagine you've got some serious support to take global disparate hierarchies across the organization and really jam it into that, or, realign it into that 7 level as an example. How do you get the kind of the philosophical and strategic support for that at the upper levels of the business?
Well, I think it's different for different things. I mean, for MDM, it's one argument. For PIM, it's another. If you look at PIM as an example, which, Alexander's been talking about, it's really, COVID has created a huge push on companies having to get to market and work with marketplaces and lots of different channels with lots of products and complexity. And so in the past, companies were like, well, we can do it manually. We can use spreadsheets. We can use, advertising components and kind of work through different systems to get the information out, basically throwing manpower at it or doing some type of customization thing. And now the business is waking up, and when they see that, we've added $218 billion in e-commerce revenue in 2021, it's like the CEOs and VPs of marketing and sales are leaning in, and they realize that in order to be effective and win in this market, which is increasingly becoming a digital market, that they have to have a system that can scale, that can have the flexibility that Alexander mentioned, and work with multiple languages and all those types of things. And configuration is becoming a really big thing. We're seeing a real drive for that because a lot of companies are looking for things that can be done in units of one. So in the past, you got all these products out. Now people want to be able to actually, just get the product that they want and be able to modify it to their specifications and order the thing. And that applies both to business as well as business to consumer. So we're seeing more and more of that from a PIM perspective. The MDM argument is an easy one. It's not just about data; it's about information. So we call everything MDM. I really think it should be MIM, Master Information Management, because information is basically what companies need to make the decision. I mean, they need to be able to act on it and gain market share. So.
I love the spirit of that comment, but the last thing we need is any more TLAs out here, no more three-letter acronyms. So, with all respect,
I don't want to do another acronym out here. I have to, change your program here. But
yes, no more here. So, anyway, Al, I know we're going to be seeing you a little later with Jürgen on a fireside chat. Alexander, thank you so much for your thoughts here, and I am psyched about using my new heat gun.
Great.
Sure, I'm glad to be a customer. You sold, in case you're wondering, you sold it because of that presentation. So I watched the presentation, went out, got something.
Great.
So
yeah.
You made a sale today. Anyway,
Excellent.
gentlemen, thank you so much for your thoughts. We loved having you.
Good job. Thank you.
Have fun, guys.
All right. Cheers.